I wish good things to you who's watching this. I am Alexey, and we're in the 6th and penultimate day of week 3 of the Carcassonne Champions League 2026, where 60 of the world's best players are competing for the ultimate prize over the course of 10 weeks. We are approaching the bottleneck for the playoff selection, and we're going to have a face-off between two well-known masters, two former Mindsports Olympiad Grand Prix semi-finalists, and that is Pavel Hudec of Czechia with the screen name Poc118, who so far has lost one match to yours truly and won one match against Wahei of Japan, and now they're playing against Sergio Antolinez with the screen name Dremkad, who finished 4th at the 2024 Mindsports Olympiad Grand Prix, so we should expect a close match. Dremkad also is 1-on-1, lost to the Chinese player with screen name 203 Club. Oh, and actually lost against the Italian with the screen name Angostur, so this means that this is sort of a must-win for Dremkad. Currently in decent shape, with 6,000 games of experience, 625 rating. For Poc, it's nearly 700. His peak, of course, is in the upper 700s. An exceptionally strong player. I'm going to say one of the 3 Czech superstars. So let's see what happens here. A few tiles have already been played. Dremkad is playing the red meeples, ahead 10 points on the scoreboard as a result of finishing this 8-point city and a 2-point road earlier on. Pavel with the blue meeples, hopefully motivated by the Czech flag, is having 4 points as a result of completing this here city earlier on. Now drops a farmer for 6 points, 2 completed cities here. A third one is about to come down for 8 points unless Dremkad does something about it. Kind of a standard move here is to go here, meeple this road, get some compensation in case this city gets completed. But a different approach, and I'm not sure if it is better, I think it is not, but something interesting to try is actually to go over here and leave the city open. But try to make sure that the threats of a block is complete. And Sergio goes for this. So now, unless a Dorito tile is drawn, actually no, unless a city tile is drawn, which it isn't, then red can get a Dorito, bend this blue city downwards, and not only block a meeple with just 4 points, but also kind of restrict the field a little bit. So a severe threat. And I wonder if Poc should do anything like this. He chooses not to. He chooses to leave this open, hope that his opponent does not draw a big tile. This hope has been justified. A restriction of red city follows, which is immediately effective as red is not able to finish this city. Now we'll need to start a new one somewhere else, but it is a very imperfect city because it can easily get blocked. So I wonder if he goes for the farm instead. Yep, and this is what I was going to say. Kind of leaving the city open, hoping for the road monastery, and so on and so on. Speaking of the road monastery, a hole shaped like a road monastery appeared over here as blue builds up his city at the top, preventing it from blockage and trying to complete it in the next turn. Something that Sergio can address, like this maybe, that's one idea. Trying to restrict it. Another idea was to go over here and try to create a second attacking platform against the city, whilst also building up a road which goes through his own city, like all the way on the left. So this would have been a double purpose move, but with less immediate impact. So Sergio settles for this. There was also an alternative available, where he would just simply ignore everything and score points here or here, start a loop road. Figured that the points are just not as important. In the meantime, Pavel's goes on the left, probably his strongest option, trying to block the square, or at the very least restrict it. The straight line can be a bit awkward for meepling roads in closed positions. Sergio, in the meantime, is ahead already 14 points on the scoreboard as a result of finishing multiple cities. Also, I just realized that I think I got the thumbnail wrong for this video, which I will update soon. Something below my microphone, okay? Let me just check that. Hi FZ, hi Dachnik, hi Playedmac. Do let me know if the sound became better. So dremkad is getting the first Romo of the game, as I like to call it. Goes for 8 points. Powerful move. Now setting up a completion of the monastery with another road and a further attack on this square. The farmer has not yet been connected to this farmer, but there are several possibilities on how to do that later, and this might even prove unnecessary. Like if a tile goes here, these are going to be two completely separated fields. A lot of straight lines have been drawn by Pavel. They have been put to reasonably good use, trying to block the square. Actually, just as dremkad was going to go here. And look at this lovely move from dremkad. He is doing the thing that I was suggesting several moves ago, which is to go over here with starting tile. What's wrong with me? Like, why can't I just find words? Starting tile, then a curve can go over here. This will result in a 6-point road and so on and so on. Pavel starts a new city in his field, which could become a shared field, but maybe not. Then also tries to set up another city cap, potentially dropping a second farmer for support. Not much that dremkad can do about it, except this. Yeah, it's a powerful monastery for 3 points, controlling 2 of his opponent's features, one of which Pavel immediately gets back with an extra 8 points on the scoreboard, with an extra 4 points on the scoreboard, which is now 8. Dremkad on 22 after another city cap. Pavel, however, quite comfortably is sitting with this 12-point farmer, touching 4 completed cities. There are not that many farming platforms available. Pavel can also finish his city at the top and then drop a farmer later for support. This is something he will be likely to do. As for the player with the red meeples, it is possible to finish the city with a starting tile and maybe drop a farmer here and kind of connect all the way through the outside like a ninja. But because there are 4 crossroads in the deck to cut off that effort, that would probably be a bit too risky if that option ever arises. Okay, saying a tad quiet. Let me just increase it a little bit. And let me know. Hi Natpira. Hi Eroyash. Alright, so Pavel chose an interesting idea strategically. Just relying on the size of the field as opposed to its geometrical closedness. The idea here is just if he draws a lot of city caps and drops more farmers, then maybe he can catch up on the scoreboard, which is a reasonable assumption. In the meantime, dremkad finishes a monastery, starts a new city like this, pressures this here square, now gets another city cap. A lot of city caps for Sergio, so the Colombian is getting some better tiles, now going to drop a farmer here, which is super, super useful. There are, of course, many tiles that fit into the square still, and Pussy gets one of them, but no farmer is available, and so this red meeple will be fighting for the main. Now, red also will be able to go over here with a curve and drop a farmer like this. Oh, this is a powerful move. This farmer is almost guaranteed to connect multiple tiles that go over here, 3 tiles that go over here, along with the completions of the city and meepling a new road. So now it's his Pavel who will need to drop at least 1 farmer somewhere to try and fight for the field. But where does he get the second one? That would be interesting. All right. Yeah, he needs, of course, I think multiple farmers because dremkad is a bit too far ahead on the scoreboard, and he will likely be getting extra points from this road if that road is completed. Also, it is possible, but it also seems a little bit unlikely. Red with an interesting move, placing himself under the control of this road, but I can see how this could work out with maybe a city cap going over here, then another city cap going over here a little bit later, just finishing a bigger city. It seems to me that Pavel now probably has to go over here, has to use the only farming platform available, as unpretty as it is. There are curves. Plenty of curves available. If dremkad goes over here to block, still plenty of chances to connect. And this will open another connection platform for a blue meeple to descend. Blue, of course, has way more meeples than dremkad, so it is quite likely that the Czech player would be able to do something here and maybe here and so on. Also wanted to address one interesting move over here, how blue managed to inbox the secondary farmer of dremkad, and this is where the meeple advantage comes from. So this guy's trapped with 6 points, some chances for further development, but kind of unlikely. Very, very fleeting chances of connecting to the main field, which actually now are non-existent, yeah, because there's nothing that fits into this square. Then, of course, there's this 1 point guy who is likely to return to the hands of dremkad, but it's going to be a bit of a wait. Some quick points for Pavel, only -10 on the scoreboard, but another curve for Sergio. There's still a few tiles over here, including 2 curves in the Road Monastery. 3 curves, actually, in the Road Monastery. But if red starts going here and potentially blocking, then this would surely be problematic. Oh, there's actually another issue as well. So let's say if red goes over here, then blue can get a straight line, go over here and drop a farmer like this and connect through a curve with not 1 but 2 meeples of his own, thus not only equalizing but also overrunning this field. But Sergio takes the risk, and Posse now needs to make a choice. Do we go over here and connect directly, or do we gamble a little bit and go over here and drop a farmer like this and try to wait for one of the now 2 remaining curves, which is a 75% chance, and he chooses not to gamble for it. He wants to set things up and then possibly use another more high prob field connection platform. His city is getting blocked, but I don't think he minds about this too much. Yeah, Sergio could have gone over here actually as well, and this is what I would have done. Not only connecting to the field, but also prolonging the road in case he needs to take it later on. Pavel with a blocked ruin, which actually outmatches this city over here, needs to make a strategic decision. Like, do we go over here and we block this field connection if we're afraid that red is going to connect? I don't think so, because we're the side with the meeples, like we can do it. So maybe we go over here and limit this monastery, but this is not a very good limitation because there are so many monasteries remaining, 4 of them in the deck, that it's actually is more like helping red rather than restricting red. Honestly, yeah, this is good. This is really good. Just blocking this farmer even further. Not allowing... Actually, not allowing what even? I'm not sure if there's even was a tile that would fit in this square. But a move that makes some sense for sure. Dreamy gets a splitter tile. Could consider radical options like going over here and dropping a farmer perhaps. That seems to me a little bit too much. But going over here and not dropping a farmer seems to me just right. Like, we're setting up some city completion opportunities. We're setting up another monastery for ourselves. If our opponent blocks this square, then we're still going to have a 50-50 chance at the very least. He's contemplating dropping a farmer, which would seem to be a little bit reckless. I don't think he can afford to drop his last meeple. On the other hand, if you do that, then you still have a couple of spots to get your meeple back with city plus road tiles. but that would result into not having meeples in your hand for a bit. Pavel, with a monastery now, probably going to go here to just grab the points, or maybe here for 5 points and consider blocking this connection, shortening the road perhaps. This is an option. Alright, so Pavel goes for the normal monastery. Dremkad collects the points over here at the top. That's actually just a wonderful tile for red. Pavel gets the compensation road, so that when the city is getting completed, he's getting extra points, and he also denies red the chance to meeple that road, so this is nice. And if the city is never completed, well then this blue guy has 4 and this red guy has 1, so that's a winning mini battle. 15 points down is the Czech player, currently with the first starting tile of the game, probably pondering between 3 options. Option 1 is going over here, just continuing the monastery, which is what I would do. Option 2 is going over here and continuing the monastery indirectly, but now that I think about it, I can think of very few advantages for that move. And option 3 is the nuclear option, to go over here, drop a farmer, try to win this reasonably sized field with 6 completed cities on it for a total of 18 points. This, however, would cost blue his last meeple, so blue decides to go for that move, which I told you. I don't think I see why that would be the case. I think I can understand. Okay, this is actually interesting. So first idea is that it creates a field connection platform, which blue is a bit more likely to use because blue still has a few tiles to recover this meeple, although now that I think about this, it's really not that many tiles. There's only 1 straight line remaining, so that is not great. Now we're about to get blocked, and look at this. This actually blows back in blue's face. Blue would have completed the monastery had he gone here differently. I think maybe focusing on the creation of the field connection platform is like a little bit too much, but there's also was another consideration which I understand quite well, and that other consideration is that eventually red is going to go over here to build up his city indirectly, and that would be a pressure point upon this square, so I guess it makes sense to fill that square first. Now a very timely block from Poissy, who is the only side with meeples at this moment, who is the only side without meeples rather. And what an interesting decision. He chooses to go not for this here city, waiting for the one and only splitter tile, but he uses to build up a city on the left. This also eliminates the farming platform. So now blue cannot drop a farmer over here. In fact, blue cannot drop a farmer anywhere except for here with a starting tile and wait for one of the 2 remaining crossroads to connect. Will he do it? That's a great question. There are kind of not that many tiles remaining. And also, if we're afraid that our opponent's going to go here and get their monastery meeple back and then continue their city/ruin, well then we would be getting a meeple back anyway, so maybe it's not crazy to just go over here and drop a farmer. There is, of course, the problem of needing the crossroads in 2 places. And I believe the crossroads would be the only tile that fits. Yeah, so if we go here, there are no daggers and no curves to connect over here, so we would need a crossroads explicitly, and we would need a crossroads in such a way that we don't get blocked. Oh, thank you for correcting me that there is no splitter remaining. I think I missed this guy. Then Sergio's move is less understandable to me. I guess the goal was to eliminate the field connection platform first and foremost. And maybe Sergio is thinking that if he gets a Dorito plus city cap, that will be the pattern with which to complete this city. Maybe Red is thinking that he just does not need to complete the city to win the game, which could be true. I mean, he's ahead 15 points. Blue has a bit of something, quite a bit of something on the board. But not just enough to be worth 15 points. And I think I see a win path for Blue, and this is exactly that. Just getting 1 point for the road. By the way, also getting the last starting tile, no, the penultimate starting tile, so there's only one remaining here. And also trying to set up an 8-point city, which gets completed but not scored by the side who does not have any meeples. This move, again, also creates a farming platform, and Pavel can now just drop a farmer if he so chooses, and maybe this time, this is not the worst thing to do. Because if we go here, we still have the 2 crossroads to get a meeple back. We still have the option of getting a meeple back if our opponent gets the last road Dorito and finishes this here monastery plus city construction. And of course, we will be waiting for a monastery or a road monastery, one of which is drawn by dremkad, but there's still some other tiles remaining. I believe a vanilla city cap to connect, so this is actually fairly safe. This does not get blocked very often. Yeah, there are also Dorito tiles. Okay, so Pavel is really turning this around, finishing a monastery. dremkad with the last crossroads, only 6 points ahead. Probably needs to try and block over here. I don't see how else he wins. But this tile is not the best tile to do so because it also helps the road a little bit too much. He decides to just take 0 points but eliminate a 5-point road from consideration. Yeah, Pavel is about to snatch this, I believe. Now, the 8-point monastery is nice. The 6-point field is nice. But surely it would not match the road and the 18-point field. Red is trying to scramble some points. Blue is meepling a sizable ruin. Trying to equalize the little city, or at least prevent the little city from growing. Now, if a tile goes here, then this will give points to everybody. Surprisingly, this here city is still alive. dremkad definitely was counting on the Dorito plus double city cap pattern, and his city just gets broken, but of course he's going to go over here. And he's going to try and complete it with the last vanilla city cap tile. Please tell me at least I've got that part of counting right, and I'm pretty sure I have. So possibly a 50-50 for the game. If dremkad does complete that city with a vanilla city cap, then I believe it's quite a lot of points. 16. Almost like the field. Oh, maybe he's considering something else. Maybe he's considering going over here, but then why would he do that? This would, of course, give him a meeple back and 4 points for the city, but this would prolong the road of blue for 6 points, and I feel like a meeple just isn't worth it that much. Like, what you're going to do with it, because you need 2 key tiles. You need the Dorito here to get the extra points and also get your meeple back, and then you need the city cap over here. It's kind of seems like a reasonable setup. And so there is even a 50-50 chance that you're going to draw one of your key tiles on the next move. But dremkad is thinking for so long that I'm wondering, is there a problem with my connection? But no, there isn't. Wondering here. Yep, refresh the page, still thinking. Nothing wrong with our connection. Let's try and think with dremkad, like what exactly could be the alternative concern, the alternative move that he's considering. Well, there is a road monastery. And I think his plan is to get a road monastery as his last tile and try to equalize the field. I think I can see that. But he gets it as a penultimate tile, which is not to say he cannot win. I mean, he can score 3 points and then later get a 6-point farm, so that would be 9. Would that be enough? He could in theory go over here and drop a farmer and try to connect here through this tile, this type of tile. But maybe if he goes here and meeples it. No. And meeples it, then he has to hope to get this tile. Well, never mind. And to connect all these cities. Yeah, I think it's just not enough for dremkad. He does get a 6-point field, so a 9-point sequence, but surely... Actually, I'm not sure. It's going to be pretty close. No idea who's winning here. The field was pretty big, but then the road and the scoreboard sort of compensate each other. It's going to be pretty close. So a 6-point for an incompleted city, 18-point field for Poissy, and 2 6-point fields for dremkad. So a 7-point win for the Czech Master. Actually, quite a nice performance. I mean, I felt like dremkad kind of got better tiles for the most part, and then got stuck with his last meeple, which allowed Pavel to find a field connection platform and to then successfully convert this. But also an interesting idea here that I wanted to tell you is this move over here, which gave a double threat to Pavel. This set up an 8-point city, and it set up the field connection platform, and there was no way for Sergio to address both of these threats. So red eliminated this threat, but blue managed to use the other threat and connect from the top. A quite interesting game. I'm gonna try and focus hard in following this the next one, or at least hope that the position is a bit less complicated. Actually, no, I take that back. I hope that the position is complicated. This is exactly what we're here for. So Pavel is the starting player, has already 4 points for this here city. A little bit of better start for the Czech Master now. A reminder, as usual, that this is the best of 3, so if Pavel wins, he wins the game, the match. Alrighty, so a 4-point road will be shared eventually, or 2 3-point roads. Blue is now continuing his city, trying to block this here city of dremkad, and it's an interesting decision for dremkad. I think this may be not the move, but it's interesting. It's interesting. My first instinct is to sacrifice the shield and just go over here. I think I like that best. It's the most low variance approach, but then this move also makes a lot of sense. It's actually slightly better than simply continuing this city because the city gets blocked a little bit too often. And that way, we try and divert our opponent's attention because our opponents will be interested in blocking over here, in saving this square, and then we can maybe build an 8-pointer on the right. So that's the idea. This also now allows dremkad to go over here and invade the blue city, so that was important to create the platform. Yeah, that totally works. I mean, I would have just connected the cities simply because your opponent has 4 points, you have 2, but then you have an endless platform for development, and you can become a winning mini battles eventually. But a high variance approach is perfectly acceptable. So what does Pavel do? It is tempting to go over here, and this would accomplish the goal of blocking or restricting this square. But then this would expose the city from the attack on the right, where the red meeple is already preparing to draw a couple more Doritos and connect like this and like this. This move is still not bad because a Dorito plus Dorito sequence is a bit less likely than usual, as 4 Doritos have already gone out. But as we can see, 1 Dorito has already been drawn, so it's not as unlikely as it seems. Now dremkad has several places where to put this. I'm pretty sure he's going to just go for the normal one. Just go over here, try to build, I think, a city with 2 city caps and 2 Doritos. Like this. Kind of looks like a triangular hat that pirates had, if you know what I meant. This move also makes a lot of sense. Actually, a lot of sense, huh? Yeah, look at this. So the connection has been completed by red, and red is indirectly threatening to invade over here. And red has saved this here square towards an unblockable combination of segments. And red has also restricted this square from blue. And that is actually quite savvy. Blue, however, invades the new city, so now it will be not available for takeover on red's part. Red, of course, can equalize it with a Dorito or a triple city. Blue, then, if he wants to, can now connect this here meeple and creates a big ruin. Not a very likely outcome in a position like this, but a possible one. Sergio with a city cap tile and a variety of options. Option 1, we go over here. We forget about the city fight, and we simply try to block the square in the future. Option 2 is something that I did not see. That is a good move. Trying to not only finish the city, but also to start blocking this square. For example, if a vanilla city cap is drawn, this will set up one of the 4 remaining road triangle tiles, and this will also restrict the square significantly. That's a reasonable move. I was thinking of something more peaceful, just starting a city on the left, so that we can also take advantage of the road segment, and maybe building up all the way through here, kind of along a road like this. That's a fantastic move from Poissy. Kind of using both segments on the splitter tile, helping 2 of his meeples. Now there's a more serious threat of the blue meeple invading over here, which now probably will be thwarted, but I don't know. And also this city cap helps this blue meeple to complete a city on the left. Let me try and draw it out properly, like that, basically. Also, this results in red being forced to use a tile suboptimally. Red wanted to use the Dorito tile over here to set up the completion of this city, but now Red is kind of a bit more time pressed to go over here and equalize this here ruin, or city maybe, who knows. Pavel gets a starting tile, which sets up one of the Dorito tiles for a completion of an 8 or 10 point city, dependent on the presence or absence of shields. This city of red is now actually quite pleasantly protected. Multiple tiles that fit into that square, 4 city caps, multiple Doritos, an amazing tile run out for Pavel, who is now ahead 14-0. And not a great tile run out for Dremkad, who now in theory can go over here and start a new city and also pre-build a Dorito tile that fits into the square. But there are only 2 Doritos remaining in the deck, 2 road Doritos. So that would be a 75% chance of completing the city, which sounds great, but then it's not high enough at this stage of the game. And also most of the time you do wait for that tile quite a while. This, however, would be the only way to use both segments on the tile, like we meeple this new city cap, and then we don't meeple this city cap, obviously, but we sort of indirectly connect it over here. So this might be tempting nonetheless. This is interesting, just leaving a vulnerable city cap at the top for either side to claim. And it seems to me that this move invites variance into the game, because you could have had the same idea if you wanted to just start a new city and do nothing. You could have just, for example, gone over here at the top, or you could have even gone over here so that you attach the city cap to a city which is not directly claimable. But this move leaves this city cap, which results in Poissy picking it up. Alright, so both tiles complete their cities. Dremkad catches up on the scoreboard. It also was nice to protect the city. It kind of pays off. Now Dremkad with the first farmer of the game. Pavel, of course, will equalize either now or a little bit later. No reason to delay the farm claim, I believe. Yeah, it goes for the 6-point field, which eventually will be equalized over here. Sergio Antolinez now needs to do what exactly? I have no idea. Maybe starting a new city is fine, which also eliminates a connection platform to the city, but also not crazy was just to gamble and try to invade the city with a 3rd meeple. With this configuration, statistically, it's kind of almost never works because you need multiple Dorito tiles when there's barely any remaining in the deck. Actually quite an unusual run out, since only 2 triangle-shaped tiles are remaining in the deck, just 2 Doritos. FZ is asking, which Carcassonne tile do you think is stronger? The 2 lids at 90 degrees, which is the splitter, or the monastery with the path, the Romo? So these are 2 strongest tiles in Carcassonne. There has been statistical analysis to support this. The road monastery is by far the most impactful tile in the game. Of course, it can vary from game to game, but on average, the road monastery is the strongest tile, and the splitter is the 2nd strongest tile. Interestingly, the monastery with the road, I was thinking it would be right up there with the Romo, but a monastery without the road is only like in the middle of the pack. I think just slightly better than average. So this kind of surprised me. And the reason is because that road segment allows just completely cheater field invasion patterns. Of course, a good player still has to set up and notice those patterns, so a tile is only as powerful as the hands wielding it. Pavel starts a new city at the top, which is a very low variance move. He could have, if he wanted to go over here and set up one of the 2 remaining Doritos, which actually is one of the 2 remaining road Doritos anyway. Try to go for the 75%er, city takeover, triple city cap. but he figures that with a lead, with a 12-point lead, why don't we just start a city in a neutral place, and we also eliminate or significantly decrease the chance of our opponent going over here and going for this city takeover themselves. Red now with a city cap tile, which could go on his newly acquired monastery, but this looks a tad dangerous as we're running short of some certain road plus city tiles. But maybe that's okay. This square is a bit vulnerable. I'm pretty sure that Pavel now is going to do something about this. Maybe just going over here. But maybe this is not good enough of a block, because if we do this, our opponent still has 2 road monasteries that fit here too nicely. So maybe a more nefarious course of action is to go over here and just simply score 3 points, which is the maximum number of points available on this turn anyway. And this would set up another 3-pointer, potentially with something more annoying, like a road Dorito, which would then later limit the square to a starting tile. So this is also possible. Yeah, I think this move is quite interesting and not fully understandable to me. I do wholeheartedly think that the other orientation, setting up the curve, was just better. Because now it seems that there's just not much that goes into the square except the last starting tile itself that would block or restrict the square. There are a lot of straight roads remaining, so a block like this would really not matter. And there are quite a few curves remaining. Well, 3 curves remaining. Maybe this is not that much. Oh, but there's also this curvy tile, right? And this was my concern, that this setup is available. That this road end was still available for Red's consumption. Also, Pavel now tries to put pressure on these 2 squares. Immediately picked up by Red. The city cap was picked up. But then look at this. Now we see the brilliancy of the long-term plan of Pavel, which I did not see. That this square was blockable towards a crossroad tile. Usually a bit of an unusual blocking pattern, because there is 4 of those tiles, but Pavel draws the last one of them and restricts this road to a crossroad tile, which does not exist in the deck. And now also dremkad is suffering because this meeple gets restricted. The shared road is getting finished. It looks like we are already heading into mathematical territory here. Like, I just don't see how we come back from this if we are the Colombian. Well, there's something. We do get a 6-point city. We're now minus 11 on the scoreboard. Pussy will score a little bit here or here. And maybe here actually is a decent option, because this restrict this square, which in hindsight is not really in our interest. Maybe we just go here. Yeah, I like this. Restrict the city cap. Take out 2 road ends. Then the third goal is to take it here. dremkad, as the side who's behind, is likely to take this road instead of the road at the bottom, to leave the unrestricted road for gambling, or maybe for a combo of curve and straight line, just to get the 5 points for it with 2 tiles. A more principled move is to go over here and to start a new city, and then try to draw a bunch of city tiles to finish an 18-pointer, which honestly increasingly looks like a good idea the more I think about this. Like 14 points in a medium closed position and meeple disadvantage in the long term are just not that easy to come by. So maybe this is the case where we start to gamble a little bit. I'm sure that Sergio is considering this, and he must see this pattern. It's just a matter of how far are we behind, and he goes for it. Definitely have to admire Sergio's courage here. That would be so natural to score quick points. But now we're going to see a not unlikely comeback. Pavel gets a buffer on his scoreboard by finishing another city and starting another one. Dremkad gets a city plus road tile, just not the kind that he needs. He could still consider going over here and going all crazy on cities. Invading here, and then getting a tile here. Looks increasingly unlikely, but whatevs. Here is also a move, just continuing the city indirectly. Then looking for a different pattern, which would be a triple city, a Dorito, and this here tile, and a city cap. Instead, he does something which surprises me a little bit. I am not sure that this move increases the city completion chances. Yep, exactly. Now look at this tile. It's sort of a bit underwhelming. Had Sergio gone over here, he would have now gone over here, and then he would have needed a Dorito plus city cap tile. But now he kind of needs just city cap plus city cap. Or maybe he's thinking that with only 2 Doritos remaining in the deck, city cap plus city cap is the better choice. It is possible, but the beautiful thing with Dorito tiles is that when you need a Dorito tile, very often a triple city plus city cap combo is just as good. Because geometrically, one of these... Oh yeah, let me actually show you here. One of these plus one of these make a Dorito-ish. They are topologically the same as a triangle tile. Craft Giraffe is asking, what statistical analysis am I referring to when I was talking about the power of tiles? I was referring to the statistical analysis conducted by Carrie Alley on the data of the 2024 World Team Carcassonne Online Championship, which is like a sample size of 1,300 games or something like this. And basically it showed how much each tile was impactful in the winning player's draws. So let's say, I think I need to address this later because stuff is happening on the board. Posieges Meeple's Monastery after Monastery and gets another city cap, is getting hit with the deck, really is just winning this big time, exceptionally difficult position for red. He will still, of course, keep fighting. There are ways to win this. Like, for example, we could in the future go here and get a Romo and then invade the field and show the power of the Road Monastery tile by completing the invasion through the outside by kind of placing it on this road in the far distant future. However, we're now so far into the game that there's just barely any tile remaining to play. Pavel now can go over here, score a monastery point, maybe even drop a farmer actually and set up the Romo himself. Invade all the way through the outside. Yeah, that would be annoying. So 5 points for dremkad. A meeple back. A little bit late, but that is fine. If you're thinking about blue going over here and potentially invading this ruin slash city with a third meeple for upwards of 20 points, this is not possible because all city plus field tiles have pretty much gone out. Both the 3 cows and the 5 Doritos. But it's always a nice idea to consider. Posse could actually go here. Meeple this long road, it's like 7 points. This is one way to do things. Ooh, another fun way, which I think he didn't see. Or let's find out his motivation later. Was actually to go here and drop a farmer for 6 points. And then try to get the final road Dorito tile to connect all the way through the outside of a curve into the main field, which currently is tied at 1 meeple per piece, worth 12 points for 4 completed cities. And also, this move would have been rather safe because it already scores 6 points Yeah, I think this would have been interesting. And then from Pavel's perspective, there would have been 2 tiles. 2 tiles. The sentence will not be finished. But yeah, 2 tiles available to invade the field, right? Because the Romo is still going over here. And I think dremkad now needs to do something. I'm not sure really what. Maybe we go here and just block the road monastery so that it can no longer be placed here. But then, if we're this far behind, we're better off assuming that we just draw the Romo ourselves. Poissy scores quick points. Yeah, of course. I'm not sure if the farming move was even a miss. Because the field connection, it's like... I mean, there's so many ways to win the game. It's just a question of style, really. And so a low variance move where you just preserve your meeple and score points makes all the sense in the world. Blue will be able to drop a farmer over here. A red with a straight line probably can block over here. Or maybe red can just go here and try to hope for the road monastery themselves. Yeah, that would make a lot of sense, actually. Try to invade the main field. And then we draw, I don't know what. Is there a series of 2 city caps? Maybe this one? It does exist. The vanilla city cap. And then what? No starting tiles, no crossroads. And no daggers either. I guess a road Dorito. Plus this vertical splitter, if there exists one. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, so technically it was possible to finish the city. Not anymore. Pavel gets the splitter tile anyway. dremkad sort of cutting his losses. Oh yeah, look at Pavel go with another farmer over here. Barely noticed. Romo for dremkad, so the field connection would have worked. But it's whatever. Going for 3 points. Pavel probably going to take the field at the meeple is going to come. FZ is saying, I suppose if statistics were compiled on the tile that is most hated, the quadruple city would win. I am not amongst the haters of the tile. I think it is an underrated tile. Oh, the game has finished apparently. Yeah, this time I think it was something with Borja Marino or Sever. Yeah, Poissy is acknowledging his luck in the second game, and this is true. In the first one, I think Poissy managed to outplay dremkad a little bit, although dremkad played well throughout pretty much. In the second game also as well, trying to get chances. And I felt like the first win was really very nice for Poissy, because in the first game, really, the Colombian drew very, very well. Pavel is sort of apologizing for luck a little bit. I don't think that you should do that. He's saying that that was unfair. It's, of course, a nice thing to say, but Carcassonne is like that. You're going to get games like this on the receiving end and on the giving end as well. So for every one where your opponent's going to draw a ton of monasteries, you're going to have one where you draw a ton of monasteries. Actually, I inadvertently drew the wrong color monastery. Yeah, Poissy got these ones. And just a lot of good stuff. dremkad is saying those crossroads were devastating. Yeah, I totally get that. If only he were to have gotten 2 meeples, then there would be a chance to invade the field at the very least. Let's just keep reading the post-mortem chat. They're saying first game, I suppose, meepling the extender was a mistake. Well, I think it refers to this extender, which may or have not. I think it might have been meepled when Poissy didn't have a meeple in hand, perhaps? I'm not sure. Oh, no. They're talking about this extender, which is true. Yes. This extender, I said it was a bit extravagant. Yeah. Because then he ended up sort of getting controlled by his opponent. Whereas you can just do the same. You can make the same move and simply leave it here for an effect just as good, kind of keeping things a bit more flexible. Let's keep reading. Three meeples could have been stranded there. What are they talking about? Where was the meeple stranded? Are they referring to this square, but only two meeples were stranded there? Though they must be speaking about something else, about the... Okay, the first game, how many extender moves were there? Well, this extender was drawn by the player with the blue meeple, so they must be still speaking about this one. Maybe they are referring to the three meeples of different colors. Somebody in the chat do help with the analysis. I think I'm being thick. Players still analyzing. Let's just stay with them for a while. He said, always felt nice drawing such a crossroad. Oh, I get it. I get it. Let's keep reading. FZ is asking if I know Spanish. A little bit. Well, I can read it pretty well. Speaking is problematic, so with Spanish people, I just typically use Portuguese or Portuñol, and we can sort of get along. But learning Spanish is definitely on my bucket list. I'm just currently learning Romanian. But then Spanish is right up there. Quite an important language in Carcassonne, along with Japanese. Alright, so the post-mortem has been concluded. Players now will probably be exchanging just pleasantries. And they have done that. Yeah, the second game was perhaps a little bit one-sided and we knew the results straight away. Still some interesting moments, like setting up this block over here. Like a huge credit for Sergio finding this potential comeback route. Just didn't end up drawing the tiles for that. And sometimes your opponent just gets an unstoppable run. So first game was the one where everything was decided. And now let's look at the standings. So what has happened as a result? Dremkad has lost, which means that they're 0-for-3 and probably mathematically out of the tournament. They will, of course, complete their 2 remaining rounds to finish the tournament in good standing. but no longer a contender for the playoff. Unlike Poissy, who is now 2 for 1, and quite a winnable game in the next round. Quite a big rating difference. Less of a different rating, but a slight favorite. Poissy is going to be against Finland's Larpattori, Lauri Leppänen. So quite good chances for the Czech player to qualify. Hi Pavel, congratulations on the win. FZ is asking if I play video games besides board games. Not particularly, actually. Yeah, board games are already quite a vast world, and even in that I occupy only a small fraction. With Carcassonne, Azul, and Scrabble seriously, and then a few other things for occasional fun. Oh yeah, so before wrapping up, let's just have a look at our agenda. I haven't scheduled a stream yet, but either CT against Viv, where one of the highest rated players in the world will be competing, or one of the 3 Polish superstars. Yeah, this is probably what I'm going to go for. MTU against 203 Club. We'll be playing tomorrow at 1400 UTC, so around that time, if the stream will be announced at a relatively short notice, so in order not to miss it, make sure to subscribe for more competitive content like this and click the bell notification icon. And of course, meeple the like button on this stream. If you liked anything about this, it does help with the algorithm quite a lot. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'ma see you soon.